Hey everyone, how you doing? I never know how to do this, where to look at the camera. I feel weird looking at the webcam, I don't know. Anyway, how are you? Welcome! Today I thought, you know what? I don't know if you've heard, but this show, a little show, coming to Disney Plus called Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's coming out May 27th, real close now. I'm so excited about it. It is, I think, undeniably the most highly anticipated Star Wars thing, product, show, movie, whatever, since The Force Awakens. I think that's undeniable, And what isn't there to be excited about? Ewan McGregor coming back to play this role and getting another chapter in the story of Obi-Wan and Vader and Anakin Skywalker, and dude, it's just awesome. I can't wait. I'm so excited for it. So it's just, I don't know. It's like a dream scenario, and it's also just such an exciting time to be part of the fandom, as sort of as rocky as the fandom can be and often is. So I thought, you know what? Let's bring it back a little bit. Let's sort of get some like Bad Batch like retro vibes from this, like reaction video vibes when I did those. I thought let's get it out for Obi-Wan. Now, there's no way on God's green earth I'm gonna react to Obi-Wan Kenobi sitting here crunched over on my laptop. So I'm not doing reaction videos, but I wanted to do something, and I might do more as well. But I thought, hey, let's sit down and I want to predict Obi-Wan Kenobi. I have put way too much thought into this. I'm going to be honest. I'm not. I think just more than any person probably should. Just over the past, I don't know, year or so, or I guess to an extent ever since the show was announced back in mid-2019, I think, at D23, when Ewan confirmed they were doing the show. So, I know, thought about it in some capacity for years at this point, and just been predicting about it, thinking, what the hell could this show be, and what could happen, and what's its potential, and all that. And I thought, I've been thinking about these ideas for so long, so much speculation's ramped up, I want to chat about it. I want to throw out my thoughts into the ether while I still can, while the record's still clean, before the show comes out, so then we can all go back afterwards and see how terribly wrong I was. Or hopefully, maybe I might be a little bit right. Hopefully my Star Wars credentials can hold up a little bit. So yeah, I just want to sit down and make some predictions. Hopefully you're happy to join me for that. Or if not, just click off the video. I don't really care. I want to start off, just to get warmed up, just to stretch a little bit. I want to play with some cameo possibilities. Everyone, it's Star Wars, and it's also just modern pop culture. Marvel has the same thing, where everyone just wants to talk about cameos. And, on one side, it's kind of annoying, and on the other side, I'm also totally down for it. So, why not? Let's warm up. I want to talk about potential cameos in Obi-Wan Kenobi, okay? There are so many possible ones, and I think we're going to get quite a few. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. I'm just going to run down a bit of a list I've got here, alright? First of all, Palpatine. Papa Sheev Palpatine going to turn up in Obi-Wan. Is he going to turn up in Obi-Wan? Now, this is a predictions video, so I feel like every point I bring up, I have to sort of answer with a yes or a no, because otherwise that'd be kind of weird. But, okay, to break it down, is it possible? Absolutely. Is it likely? Yeah. I feel like they'll sort of take any excuse to throw Palpatine in anything, I feel like. And it just makes perfect sense. It's such an easy thing to throw in there. That's actually sort of why I don't want it to happen, because it's so easy. It's just like, all you have to do is have one scene where Palpatine turns up on a hologram. And we know we're getting tons of Vader in the show. So all you have to do is like have one scene where Palpatine's like, Lord Vader, have you found Obi-Wan yet? Like, just whatever. It's just some bullshit he has to come and say. As long as all he has to do is turn up and just ask Vader a question. So that's the super easy thing to do. That's also why I sort of hope it doesn't happen. But in terms of a yes or a no, I'm actually going to say no. And I'm going to say no because I feel like they definitely want to play that card, that Palpatine card. People are going to love it, I'm going to be one of them because I'm a loser. And I think they're going to save that card until the Andor show, which comes out this year also, later in the year. I feel like they're going to want to... It's going to be a bigger moment in that show, because this is already a show with such big moments and stuff going on that I don't think they need to play it here. if that makes sense. I don't know if Lucasfilm thinks like this, but I don't know. I'm going to say no in this show, but definitely very possible. Don't count it out at all. Who else we got? Leia. Will Leia be in this show? Will we get a 10-year-old Leia? We got a 10-year-old Luke. They cast a toddler as a 10-year-old Luke. Will they do Leia? Again, very possible. I don't know. I'm deliberating. No, don't do it. Okay, Disney, don't do it. Deborah Chow, don't do it. Okay, I know it's already done. If it is done. Okay, I'm going to say no. I feel like young Luke is plenty. We don't need to go to this casting process, this whole effort to find a young Carrie Fisher looking 10-year-old. I don't know. And I just don't see it adding a lot to Obi-Wan's story. I feel like Luke is pretty instrumental to Obi-Wan's story, obviously, and that relationship as we see it in A New Hope is instrumental. Totally makes sense why he's there. We know he's there. Obviously, he's in the trailer. So, no, I don't want to see Leia. Don't do it. But they might. I don't know. But if we do see her, it's going to be some like weird bullshit, like hologram thing, or we're not just going to randomly cut to a random day on Alderaan with Leia at school or something, right? So, I'm going to say no. No, let's stay away from that. Although, along the same sort of train of thought here, Bail Organa. I'm giving this a yes. I'm going to say yes because I want my boy Jimmy Smits back in Star Wars. Loved him in Rogue One, coming back. But I also just think that makes way more sense. We know from Revenge of the Sith that this show is really trying to tie up all that stuff. That it really is the most connected to Revenge of the Sith of everything. And of course A New Hope as well, because it's in the middle of the two. But connecting directly, this is the next time we see Obi-Wan since Revenge of the Sith, Ewan playing him again. We're going to be tying up a lot of those threads. Jimmy Smits is absolutely one of those threads, Bail Organa. They last sort of saw each other at the end of Revenge of the Sith. They sort of part ways. Bail Organa is an instrumental part of the whole plot of keeping Luke and Leia safe, so it makes sense if he were to have some sort of conversation at some point with Obi-Wan. In Rogue One, Bail Organa refers to Obi-Wan and, says, "I'd trust this man with my life." Oh no, sorry, he's talking about Leia in that scene. But he wants her to get in touch with Obi-Wan in Rogue One. So he's Obi-Wan, I'm not losing my mind here. Obi-Wan is very much still aware of Bail and vice versa, sort of at this point in time. So I think that makes sense. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes to Bail Organa. I'd like it. Alright, now here comes an obvious one. A no-brainer. Everyone's talking about this. And that is my boy Qui-Gon Jinn. Liam Neeson in this show. Absolutely yes. 100%. Not only should this absolutely happen, and not only would I genuinely disappointed if this doesn't happen, but this is going to happen. This is happening. I'm just telling you right now. Liam Neeson is going to be in this show. This is an absolute fact. Please clip this and message me if I'm wrong. Troll me forever if I'm wrong. That's totally fine. Liam Neeson is going to be in this goddamn show, dude. Have you seen Liam Neeson being questioned about Obi-Wan on red carpets and interviews for the last year? Have you seen this man? This man is lying through his teeth, dude. This guy is lying. This man is pulling Andrew Garfield prior to Spider-Man No Way Home plays in these interviews. He's completely full of shit. Go and watch any of those interviews. He's completely full of crap. Liam Neeson is in this show. He's lying to everyone, and it's going to be great. It makes all the sense in the world. It is actually, if you come straight from watching Revenge of the Sith, the whole Qui-Gon thread with Obi-Wan is actually the most egregiously unresolved thing about Obi-Wan's character from the prequels to the original trilogy. It makes no sense about why you wouldn't bring Liam Neeson into this show. At the end of Revenge of the Sith, Yoda is like, "Yo, Obi, my dude, you can talk to Qui-Gon now through the Force. You should go and do that. Just so you know, you should probably go and do that." And what, you're telling me that that's not going to be part of this story? How underwhelming would that be? To leave that unresolved. That needs to happen. Not to mention, there's so many other little things about it, in recent canon books, in recent materials like Expanded Universe stuff, it was specifically referenced that Obi-Wan was first able to have a Force Ghost communication with Qui-Gon Jinn 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. Right? exactly when this show takes place? Is that a coincidence? Why would any canon material specifically say 10 years after Revenge of the Sith and that not be deliberate? It's like, dude, like everything, it makes all the sense in the world. 1,000% going to happen. Get Qui-Gon in this show. It's going to be great. I guarantee it. Alright. Who wouldn't want to see that, by the way, dude? Oh my god. Get Force Ghost Liam Neeson talking to Ewan McGregor. That shit's going to be dope. I'm going to love that. It's going to be great. Alright. What are some other ones that people like? People wanted to see Ahsoka, apparently, in this show. I don't. No, I'm good. I love Ahsoka. Ahsoka Tano, probably top 5 favourite fictional characters of all time for me. Absolutely love her. Don't need to see her in this show. Don't really feel like it adds anything to Obi-Wan's character. They have a relationship for sure in the Clone Wars, and it's a great one, but it's not like an emotional thread that needs to be resolved. It's like, no, I don't need to see her. It's fine. She's literally getting her own show titled Ahsoka, like pretty soon in the next year or so. So like, let's just wait for that, you know. And we've just seen her a bunch in all the other shows. I don't need to see this, especially since it would probably be some like de-aged flashback thing, and I just feel like that would look weird. I don't know. Let's leave Ahsoka out of it, okay? Although I'm not gonna lie, if she turned up, I'd probably like it. Okay. And who else we got? I think last one, Cal Kestis. Everyone wants to see Cal Kestis, and I get it. Cal Kestis, a great character I fell in love with while playing Jedi Fallen Order. I don't think so. No. Look, it's definitely possible, and I actually do believe that one day the possibility of getting Cal in live action exists. You know, especially considering Cal in the game is just Cameron Monaghan, the actor. It's just him. You know what I mean? There's no issues translating that to live action. Literally, all they have to do is get Cameron Monaghan to show up. And he's a great actor, so that's fine. But I don't know. I feel like this show could drag it in the wrong direction of just feeling unfocused, and I feel like it's just going to be a bit of a stretch if you get Cal Kestis in here. We've only got 6 episodes of this show. If we knew Obi-Wan Kenobi was a show that was going to run for seasons, like it was going to be a long show, sure, go for it. Have an episode with Cal showing up. That sounds great. This is a 6-episode, basically mini-series, 6-part movie. I don't know if Cal really has a place in that, you know, but I mean, there is interesting counter-arguments to be made that both Cal and Obi-Wan sort of have parallel journeys in some ways, and, you know, I think those are 2 characters with arcs and stories that relate to each other and could have interesting overlap. But I don't know, like, I almost feel like I'd rather see that in the games. Like, I feel like I'd almost rather see Obi-Wan show up in a Fallen Order sequel as opposed to Cal show up in this, you know. I feel like I'd sort of rather that, but I can see their paths crossing, just not in the show. I think leave Cal out of it. If the common thread here is that I want this show to be focused on Obi-Wan and things relevant to him and his story so far. That's what I want out of this show. I think that was all my cameos. Apologies if there's probably like, I don't know, a bunch of other cameos. I mean, it's Star Wars, so like every Star Wars fan in the universe is probably like, what if we see Bib Fortuna? You know, dude, Max Rebo could turn up. I don't know. There's probably people speculating about everything. I don't know. That's the main ones I thought of that were probably most interesting. What else we got? I'm making some predictions here. I'm going to predict. We got our first glimpse at Darth Vader, of course, in the second May the 4th trailer. Very brief glimpse, which was awesome, by the way. I love those really brief shots of him being assembled. Like, we've never really seen that. As much as we've seen of Darth Vader, like, a lot. We've seen a lot of Darth Vader in literally everything. But we've never really seen him being, like, put together. So I thought that was kind of cool. Hayden coming back to play Vader. Super exciting. Well, I'll have more to say and predict about that, but I'm going to say, in terms of how Vader's used in the show, we know for a fact they're absolutely going to fight Obi-Wan and Vader, and that's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. I really hope that is actually the department where I feel like the show could most significantly misstep. You know, I feel like those prequel fights are so good, genuinely, that I don't know, like, Disney Plus shows, for me, their main weakness is a lot of their visual stuff and a lot of their action stuff, like just feeling, you know, I don't know, feeling not very sufficient or feeling under budget, and you just feel where the production values are stretched during a lot of these CG heavy action sequences in Disney Plus shows. So I'm skeptical, but I'm hopeful that they'll be able to pull off some good fight sequences. But in terms of Vader's use in the show, I think Darth Vader, I'm just going to throw it out there right now, Darth Vader is going to turn up for the first time in this show at the end of episode 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I feel like we have episode 1 begin, and, you know, we get some, we spend about an episode 1, we sort of spend that whole episode doing exactly what you'd sort of expect out of an Obi-Wan show, maybe a surprise or two, but I expect episode 1 mainly to just be Obi-Wan's on Tatooine, Obi-Wan's watching Luke, Obi-Wan's hanging out, Uncle Owen's there, Joel Edgerton's hanging out too, and they maybe have a chat or something. The Inquisitors are hunting Obi-Wan. Like, all the typical things that we know for sure are going to be happening in the show and that you'd expect to happen. I think that's going to be how we spend most of our episode 1 and episode 2. Sort of with the lower level stuff, like the Tatooine, some Inquisitors, stuff like that. And then I think, because this is the key thing, they're releasing episodes 1 and 2 at the same time, on May 27th. And I think it makes all the sense in the world. We get that episode 1 to breathe a bit on Tatooine and Obi-Wan and what he's been up to, catch up with him a little bit, get, you know, some threads going, and then the end of episode 2, have it be like, oh shit, Vader's here. He's coming. You know what I mean? However, presumably he catches on to Obi-Wan, he gets a lead or something, you know? Like, it comes to his attention that Obi-Wan is out there imminently, you know? So, and that's a huge thing to end episode 2 on. Like, you kidding me, dude? Like, that makes all the sense in the world. Talk about leaving everyone with bated breath for a week. It's like, Darth Vader's here and he's freaking coming. You know what I mean? I feel like that makes all the sense in the world for him to turn up then. And that leaves then still 4 solid episodes of time we get to spend with Vader, with Obi-Wan having to deal with whatever Vader's throwing at him, and, of course, some goddamn flashbacks and some goddamn Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor scenes together. Because the thing, this whole time, ever since they announced Hayden Christensen was going to be... What did I say? Christensen? Hayden Christensen. I feel like I said his name wrong. The whole thing, this entire time, that everyone's been talking about since they announced Hayden was cast in this show. And they've always stuck to their guns, like, publicly, in terms of all the articles they've released and everything. The showrunners, Kathleen Kennedy, Deborah Chow, Ewan, they've all stuck to their guns that, like, it's so exciting to have Hayden back to play Darth Vader. And it's like, yeah, Hayden's definitely going to be in the suit, no doubt about it, and that's going to be cool. But that's not a big deal. Like, why make a big deal out of that? And that's because, obviously, we're going to have Hayden Christensen flashback scenes with him as Anakin. There's no doubt about it. Like, there's literally no other reason to hire Hayden other than to do that, you know? And it's cool to know he's in the suit too, don't get me wrong. But, like, that's not the pivotal reason that you hire this guy for this show. So we're going to get our flashback scenes. I presume they're going to be Clone Wars flashback scenes. We're going to get... I'm going to say... Again, sorry, I feel like I'm just speculating. I want to actually throw predictions out there. I'm going to say throughout the entire show, we're going to get 2 fairly extensive Clone Wars flashback scenes. I'm going to say 2. They're going to be with de-aged Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. I mean, I don't know how much they have to... Like, I don't know how much actual de-aging they have to do, but they're going to be de-aged. Like, they're going to do a good job at de-aging them in some capacity, I think. They're going to be in their Clone Wars armor. I'd love that. I'm going to predict that too. That's a prediction, and I'd also love it. They're going to be live action in their Clone Wars like armor from the show. And there's going to be some sort of scene where they're fighting, probably one scene where they're like fighting alongside each other. We get that sense of camaraderie between them that we sort of lacked in the movies, but got millions of times over in the animated shows. That much needed context, I think, not only to maybe more casual people, for other people that aren't as hardcore Star Wars fans, to see that these two people were actually close and actually cared about each other and were brothers, you know, as Obi-Wan says. Not only for that, but also just within the context of the narrative itself, even for all of us who do know that, yeah, dude, we watch all the shows. We know that Anakin and Obi-Wan are homies, for real. We know it. But even, like, to just have an extra sort of device to reinforce that within the narrative itself is essential, I think. Like, when you're telling this story between these two, you know, these two guys that had this relationship, and Anakin betrayed everyone, turned to the dark side, the strain of that, the emotional state of that. I think it's important within the show itself, not just relying on outside stuff to build that narrative, but to also just have scenes in the show that enforce that as well. So I feel like that makes a lot of sense. You have one scene where they're like fighting alongside each other, having fun, I don't know, doing something cool in the Clone Wars, and maybe another more emotional sort of dialogue exchange between the two, where they're sitting down having a chat, that sort of then somehow echoes what's happening in the present as well between them, like some sort of force connection or something. I don't know. I feel like you sort of have a fun flashback scene and a more serious flashback scene with them. And I think that's going to be awesome when they turn up at some point in the last 4 episodes. I think that'd be great. Now, another factor with Vader, Hayden Christensen, of course. Can't wait. Can't wait to see Hayden. It's going to be awesome. In the suit. But who is voicing Vader? That's another question. I think it was Deborah Chow, director of the show. I think it was her. Someone involved with the show was asked point blank in one of those recent Entertainment Weekly articles. They were asked, is James Earl Jones voicing Vader in the show? And the response was no comment. Which means he's voicing. Which means that James Earl Jones is going to be voicing Darth Vader in the show. I don't really see why you'd lie about that if it weren't true. Or not lie, but you know what I mean. Why would you deflect that if it's not true? So I feel like that's absolutely going to be happening. And I'm here for it. How could you go wrong with the OG? He's always keen, seemingly, to come back and do the more serious stuff. Like, he came back and did Rogue One. He came back and did Rebels, which was awesome. Like, I feel like that might be something that you'd sort of not sure if he'd do it, but he did, and he was great in it. So, that's going to be awesome. I think the only thing he's never done is... He's never done a video game, I don't think, James Earl Jones. I think that's where he draws the line, I guess. I don't know. But I think James Earl Jones... There's nothing to suggest he wouldn't do this show, so I think he's going to do it and it's going to be great. And it may very well be. And no, I don't mean to throw negative vibes out there. I don't mean to be cynical. It's only because the man is like 92 years old I'm saying this. But this might be his final performance as Vader. And I feel like that's going to be quite poignant as well and quite important as well. So I'm excited for that. James Earl Jones. So to be clear, that's my prediction. James Earl Jones voicing Vader in this show. Not a super crazy one, but yeah. In terms of the fight itself between Obi-Wan and Vader, I know there are so many leaks going around at the moment, leaks, rumours about stuff and stuff coming out about the show. I'm just avoiding as much of it as I can. I'm really not trying to spoil myself on anything. I know, but it's weird. It's weird with these leaks and rumours and things because they're usually bullshit, but sometimes they're not. I know there were some pretty accurate leaks about the Book of Boba Fett, so but I guess it's something to maybe think about. But regardless, I guess this is just touching on what I sort of already brought up before about my expectations for the fight scenes between them, the lightsaber duel that we're going to get, no doubt. But when we see the concept art that we've got so far for Vader and Obi-Wan fighting, by the way, it looks incredible. Oh my God, are you kidding me? How can you see that image and not be stoked? But to me, the concept art, don't take it as exactly what's going to turn up in the final product. But to me, that concept art looks like they're fighting on a Star Destroyer to me. It is the internal, the inside, the control center or whatever the hell you call it. That's what it looks like to me. So that's exciting. I feel like that's probably where they're going to fight. Makes a lot of sense. You want an epic sort of place for them to fight. You want to do whatever you can to, of course, top their amazing, incredible, mind-blowing fight from A New Hope where they sort of just whack their little sticks together like that. So yeah, do it on a Star Destroyer where it's exploding and shit. That sounds cool. I'm down. Prediction, official, put it in. Vader, Obi-Wan fight on Star Destroyer. Or in Star... Oh my God, can you imagine if they fought on a Star Destroyer? That would be like that Visions episode. That'd be crazy. I didn't realise my agenda would be this long. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm talking about Star Wars. You can't stop me. I'm sorry. In terms of trying to piece together what this show is going to be about, the core of the narrative, we get what it's about generally, right? Obi-Wan's hanging out on Tatooine and the Inquisitors are hunting him and he's trying to protect Luke. Cool, we get it. But in terms of figuring out where this show goes and where we end up with Obi-Wan at the end of this show, I feel like we need to look to the original trilogy and we need to look to Star Wars films and the lines of dialogue specifically spoken in Star Wars films, they give us the best hints as to what's going to happen in this show and in this period of time that's sort of vaguely spoken about. Now, right off the bat, I just want to make my position very clear that there are still, for some reason, and no offense if you watching, you're one of them, but there are still people out there. I don't understand it, but there are people out there who are still like, oh, this whole show happening at all, and Vader fighting Obi-Wan between episodes 3 and 4 contradicts canon. It contradicts the movies. It's like, it really doesn't at all. Like, I really don't understand this argument. I've never understood this argument. People still believe this. I don't understand it at all. What we have in A New Hope to suggest of time past between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, that 20-year gap, all we have specifically, and this is for some reason what people point to, but it makes no sense. This is what Vader says.
I sense something, a presence I've not felt since...
Okay, obviously he doesn't finish his sentence, so he can literally mean everything. He can mean anything at all when he says that. He could literally mean, I sense a presence I haven't felt since I got my coffee like 3 hours ago. Like that's literally what he could mean. I don't know. Everyone, for some reason, it just puts in that scene that, oh, he obviously means Mustafar. He obviously means Revenge of the Sith. Like, why? Why does he obviously mean that? He can mean anything. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I guarantee you, in 2 months' time, when we've finished this show, when we watch A New Hope again, we know what he's going to mean. We know he's going to mean, until they make like another Obi-Wan show, we know he's going to mean whatever happens in this show is what that scene's going to mean in A New Hope now. Which is cool. I'm always a fan of that. When it doesn't contradict anything, and it only enhances everything else, I think it's really awesome to be able to go back to older films and have them recontextualized by newer pieces of media and newer stories. I think that's cool. Now, another sort of weird one from A New Hope is this, when Vader says,
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
Yeah, we all know it. It's definitely the worst dialogue in the film. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, it sucks. But that's just that's weird ass dialogue. Now, again, this one, I can understand a bit more as to why people would put Mustafar in their minds first and foremost here. I do understand that, because last time we met, I was the learner. Well, I guess Anakin was... it's sort of weird. I don't know, the line doesn't really make any sense anyway, to be honest. But it's like, yeah, okay, last time he was Anakin Skywalker, and Obi-Wan was like, yeah, he's master, but now he's not, I guess. I don't know, the lines are sort of weird anyway, you take it, to be honest with you. There's still enough wiggle room for this to mean anything to me. I don't know. It's fine. I think it is one that they have to specifically go to a greater effort to address in some way. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if, say, for example, I don't know, like Vader and Obi-Wan have some sort of conversation or something where Vader still is, maybe at this point in time, 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, maybe Vader still has a bit of Anakin in him, and he sort of brings that out and talks about that, or says something to Obi-Wan that suggests that, maybe. It could be a combination of that, and or maybe Obi-Wan defeats Vader. Maybe that's all it is, or it could be both. I don't know. The idea that if Obi-Wan beats Vader in this fight that they're going to have in this show, which he's either... Obi-Wan's going to survive, obviously. Spoilers. So I guess he could win, or it could be a draw or something. I don't know, who knows. But if Obi-Wan wins this fight, like, quite decisively, and then Vader escapes or something, which sounds weird when I say that out loud, but if something like that happens, then that literally could just be what Vader means. Like, last time I was the learner because I was a little bitch and lost, but now I am the master because I'm going to beat you this time. Like, he could literally just be saying, this time I'm going to beat your ass, bro. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a trickier one. I feel like that's not too hard to resolve, though. I feel like there are definitely ways to get around that, yeah. Much more significant lines. That's just like the little bullshit ones that people like to point to and like try and poke holes in the whole story. I don't really get that, but...
Come with me.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
As in, Obi-Wan once thought that I could be redeemed, that I could be saved, that Anakin Skywalker was still in me somewhere. We never see this in any of the films, in any of the canon material we currently have. We never once see any sign that Obi-Wan genuinely thinks that Anakin Skywalker can be saved, that Darth Vader can be saved. We never see it, because by the time the original trilogy comes around, by the time we're in A New Hope, Obi-Wan ain't messing around with him. I think it's in The Empire Strikes Back, right? Oh shit, I don't want to get... Oh god, like, I'm getting exposed right now. In the original trilogy at some point, Obi-Wan says...
He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
He thinks at that point when he says that, he thinks that all hope is lost for Anakin, for Vader. There is no saving this guy. Don't even bother. He tells Luke... you have to face Darth Vader again. You have to defeat this guy. This guy sucks. Kill him, you know? Obi-Wan sees nothing left of Anakin in the original trilogy. That is a fact. He tells Luke as much. He suggests as much. So, what is the time where Obi-Wan thinks that maybe Anakin can be saved? Maybe there is something there. We have to see that in this show. That's my prediction. Obi-Wan is going to have to, at some point, I don't know how exactly this will come about, I guess when Vader gets on his heels or something. Obi-Wan, it's going to be part of his quest in some way, or part of his dynamic with Vader in this show. It's going to be part of the whole story that he feels he can save Vader, and he, at the end of the show, must be proven wrong. He gets down and he's like, shit man, I'm wrong. I couldn't save him, you know. I tried and I failed. I feel like that's the sort of note that their specific relationship has to end on in this show. Now, another thing I've been thinking about a lot when it comes to the Obi-Wan show is Obi-Wan has to learn that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. This is a fact we take for granted. Obviously, in the original trilogy, in A New Hope, Obi-Wan is very aware who Darth Vader is, obviously, because he's like, he was a former pupil of mine before he turned evil, you know, like, obviously, Obi-Wan understands, and, like, in their fight, it's, like, super obvious. Obi-Wan knows that Anakin is Vader at that point, right? So I was thinking forever that, in this show, Obi-Wan has to learn that Vader is Anakin. He has to learn that. And he has to learn because the last time Obi-Wan saw Anakin, he left him lying there on Mustafar, burning alive. Dude, by the way, just like, what a terrible thing to do. Why didn't you just kill this guy? He was dying. He was suffering. Anyway, so Obi-Wan thinks Anakin is dead. Right? The last time we leave him, he thinks Anakin is dead. And that's it. Right? So then what's going to change between now and this show? The thing that I was wrong about. Now, I actually went and rewatched like a tiny little piece of dialogue. I went and rewatched the scene from Revenge of the Sith. There is a scene in Revenge of the Sith. It might be like one of the most just easy things to overlook in the entire movie. The scene where Obi-Wan and Yoda infiltrate the Jedi Temple in Revenge of the Sith, and they go back there to like shut off the, I don't know what for the plot, it was like to shut off the signal that was requesting all the Jedi to come back to Coruscant. It was a trap. It's a trap. That's what that whole thing was for. Anyway, the scene then when Obi-Wan goes and views the security recordings of Anakin killing younglings, because he's like, I have to see this. Like, he can't comprehend that Anakin would do this, so he has to go and watch it. In this scene in Revenge of the Sith, I was like, I'd never really realised this properly until I rewatched. But in the recording that Obi-Wan watches, like, he watches the recording of Anakin becoming Darth Vader, of, like, Palpatine standing over him. And Palpatine says, like, hang on, what does he say? I think I got it here.
Now, Lord Vader, go and bring peace to the Empire.
And Obi-Wan watches that on the hologram in the movie. So Obi-Wan does actually know that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. Like, he knows that the name Vader is associated with Anakin, which I never knew. I was wrong about that. So that's interesting. Obi-Wan learning that Anakin is Darth Vader was a prediction I was going to make, and I actually had to check, but he knows that. That is not a story beat they can play with. I thought they could. They can't. He knows. So, but the thing that is still up in the air, of course, is that Obi-Wan knows Vader is Anakin. Obi-Wan then thinks he kills Anakin. So at some point, when does Obi-Wan learn that Darth Vader is still out there? Like, at what point in canon does Obi-Wan get word somewhere that, oh, there's this guy, Darth Vader? Because no one else knows who Darth Vader is, but there's this guy, Darth Vader, he's out there. You know, he's an evil Sith Lord. At what point does he know that? Because obviously, as soon as he hears that, he'll know it's Anakin. But I'm still curious as to when that would be. I'm going to predict that happens in this show, probably in episode 1 or 2. I think, actually, episode 2 makes the most sense. I think that's going to happen. You know, it could very well have happened prior to the show. Like, we could start the show, 10 years jump, and Obi-Wan already knows this. He's already heard this from somewhere or some source. But, I don't know, like, Obi-Wan's just hanging out on Tatooine. Like, I don't think he's really getting, like, regular news updates, you know what I mean? So, I feel like it makes... And it's also just a cool story moment to have in the show. I feel like it would make sense to include it. Why not include it? So, we have to, in episode 2, I'm predicting, Obi-Wan has to learn that, oh my god, there's this guy, Darth Vader. And he has to, therefore, he will learn in that moment that Anakin is alive. That he did not die on Mustafar. He has to learn that in this show. I'm calling it, okay? I'm going to cut this down. So I just want everyone to know that I've actually been talking to myself about Star Wars now for the past 4 hours. That's actually true. I had some other points. I do want to say that Joel Edgerton is great to see him in this show, by the way. I think he's going to be great. His one line in the trailer, he does a great Uncle Owen impression. I'll give him that.
Like you trained his father?
And a great actor, of course. But their whole thing in this show, I feel like they're going to have some cool conversations, but their story, I feel like, is obvious. You know, but by the time A New Hope comes around, it's clear that there's some beef there between Obi-Wan and Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben? Uncle Owen. I just called him Ben, sorry. There's clearly some beef there that we never really get the source of, and this show's going to explain that. And I think it's going to be really obvious. Like, at the end of the day, Uncle Owen is going to be clearly concerned. Inquisitors come to Tatooine. That's happening, right? Owen is going to be very concerned for Luke's safety because he believes that Obi-Wan is drawing attention to Luke's hideout and to their family. And he's right, obviously, because the Inquisitors wouldn't be there, presumably, if Obi-Wan wasn't there. So, Uncle Owen's going to be... It's all going to be about Luke and their concern for Luke. Obi-Wan wants to watch over Luke. He wants to eventually train Luke. But Owen is concerned that this is just really dangerous for Luke. Obi-Wan being around is drawing negative attention to them. And that's the core conflict that's going to exist between them in the show, that's going to come to a head. And that's ultimately going to sort of create a rift between them that we see in A New Hope. That, dude, write it in stone. I've just nailed that, you know. Don't at me. I also feel like I've been kind of boring in the fact I've only talked about, like, recurring characters and stuff, like Vader and Obi-Wan and stuff. But, I mean, we've got tons of new characters in this show. We see the Inquisitors, which is awesome. Cool to see Fortress Inquisitorius from Fallen Order in the show. That's exciting. We have the Grand Inquisitor and his questionable design, of course. And we have all the other Inquisitors and stuff, and they're cool. But the main Inquisitor, of course, is Reva, who is the third sister. She's a new character. And it's most interesting to talk about her in terms of predictions, because we sort of know the fates of the other Inquisitors through other media. But, she's unknown. She's a new character, so we don't know what happens to her. We know that she doesn't show up in Rebels after this, so that may be a bad sign for her in terms of her possibly dying. I don't know. There's a few different directions they could go with her. She could live, possibly, and just not turn up in anything else. That would be... I don't know. I feel like something decisive has to happen to her for it to make sense as to why she's not in other things, maybe. I feel like... It's tricky. I don't know. They could always do the thing where she redeems herself, like where she turns good at the end and then Vader kills her or something. That sounds like a very Star Wars thing to do, a very Disney thing to do. I don't know. I don't really want to see that, but yeah, that's actually kind of likely. Now that I say it, that's actually kind of likely. I don't know. I would also just like to see what happens with a ton of the other Inquisitors and what happens with... I would just like to see her fail and Vader kill her, to be honest. And that's not to discredit the character at all. I still haven't really seen anything of her. I have faith. I like India. I think her name's... I can't... Moses Ingram, I think, is the actress's name. I like her. And I feel like she could be a really interesting character in this show. And I'm going to enjoy that, hopefully. But just in terms of the end result, I want the end result to be interesting. I think it'd be cool if Vader just kills her. That's actually, I don't know. I think that's actually the newer characters are the hardest to talk about. I'm sort of curious about it. We know that we saw this droid in the trailer. We know the whole cast list, of course. If I were to guess, I would say like Benny Safdie might be voicing this droid because we know he's in the cast and we haven't seen him yet. I feel like that's sort of a safe bet, maybe. And we get a quick glimpse at Kumail Nanjiani's character, who I don't know. I feel like he might be a Jedi. I don't know. I don't see him having a huge role. I'm not really sure. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he was another Jedi on the run that Obi-Wan comes across at some point. Because I feel like it makes sense for Obi-Wan in the story. I don't want it to be a cameo character. I don't want it to be Ahsoka or Cal. But I think it does make sense in the story for Obi-Wan to meet another Jedi character and sort of connect with them on some level during his journey. I think that makes sense. I think if you have it be Kumail, that makes sense. He's sort of, I don't know, does he look like he's wearing Jedi robes in the trailer? Maybe a little bit? I don't know. It's sort of hard to tell. But I feel like that could be quite a possibility too, and then Kumail ends up dying. Vader or the Inquisitors end up killing him. I feel like that's very possible. These new characters, I didn't put a lot of thought into them, but that is a prediction right now. Okay, I'm going to say it. Kumail Nanjiani is a Jedi, and he is going to be killed by, I'm going to say Reva, the third sister, is going to kill him. And Obi-Wan's going to be sad about that for a little bit. And Benny Safdie's going to voice that droid. How about that? Alright, I think I'm done. I think I'm done talking about Obi-Wan for the night. I'm buggered. So, yeah. Hope you're excited about the show. I'm certainly excited about it. Maybe I'll do reviews for it or something. But, yeah. It's super exciting. I'm just stoked for it. Tatooine is definitely going to be the focus of the first 2 episodes. See, even when I say I'm going to stop talking about Star Wars, I just keep talking about Star Wars. So I'm going to have to stop myself in a second. But Tatooine is definitely going to be the focus of episode 1 and 2, I'd imagine. We already got the glimpse at the other sort of Tokyo Blade Runner style planet, which has a name, I can't remember it, that they've released. We're going to get there. I presume that'll sort of, Obi-Wan will end up there and maybe episodes 3, 4 sort of range. And then after that, like, those are the only 2 landscapes we've gotten in this entire show. And Fortress Inquisitorius, which we'll probably cut to. So, outside of that, like, this show is a mystery box that I'm excited to open. You know, like, I feel like there's a lot of potential. I really strongly believe that we haven't seen barely anything, or if anything at all, from the final 2 episodes of the show, the episodes 5 and 6. So they could go anywhere and do anything. And I'm really excited for that. Especially, who knows what locations we could end up going. It's them officially and definitively breaking the fact that Obi-Wan can never leave Tatooine. He does. We know he does. He's doing it. So that could mean that opens up a whole world of possibilities of what Obi-Wan could be up to. So I'm stoked for that. Anyway, I actually am done now. So if you're excited about Obi-Wan, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the Cinema Effect podcast, where I'll probably talk about Star Wars more in news, chat, and highlights of the week and stuff. But watch us review movies, or listen to us review movies if you like. That'd be great. Yeah, comment, do all that stuff. Alright, see ya.